This is WBSM On Demand.
It's time for South Coast Now with Chris McCarthy. Streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Text us using App Chat on the WBSM app. Now, Chris McCarthy.
Good morning. Welcome back. So, folks, as part of my commitment to democracy and my town of Fairhaven, we're trying to get all the candidates through. We've had Rick Trapillo, and again, I'm a one-man show, so unless I know you or you're willing to reach out to me like J.P. Lemieux did, came by the station, or you follow me on Facebook and we can communicate through Messenger, I'm not going to find you. I'm not going to track you down, but we've gotten just about everybody in here who wanted to be in here. We've had Rick Trapillo from the plant, who's running for planning board. Rick's a friend of mine. And now we have another friend of mine, Karyn Ferreira, who's running for planning board. Many of you know Karyn because she is the proprietor of Tropical Smoothie. She's got a couple establishments, and she's been at it for a number of years. And as I was saying, Hank Turgeon likes the Mocha Madness with the full banana. He has to have the full banana.
That's right.
Karyn, you're running for planning board. How's the campaign going?
I think it's actually going well. Certainly, this is my first time going for anything like this. I am on the Economic Development Committee meeting, and I was approached to, talk about running for the planning board, and I think that those two kind of go hand in hand.
Certainly.
I think it's a good fit. And I felt like loving the town of Fairhaven, it was something that I should do, kind of get my feet well. I'm certainly no politician by any means at all. I know how to hustle and, how to try to operate a establishment.
Right.
And as, a lot of you know, we were unfortunately didn't see that coming, that we were shifted out of the Fairhaven location.
Right.
But again, a lot of people said, why stay in Fairhaven? And I really felt that not only do I love the town, but we've made a lot of relationships in Fairhaven. A lot of our customers have become friends.
Sure.
I consider them, certainly family and friends. And we just owe it. I love, the community. I love the schools here. I love doing fundraisers for the schools. So it wasn't an option for me to not stay in Fairhaven. So I think just with my passion for Fairhaven, it was, just something we had to do.
Andrew Saunders is running for the select board and is a business attorney in the area. Andrew made a point during the candidates night the other day. He said the select board meeting, select board election's important, but the planning board election, because that's where we're going to get our economic growth from, which with the deficit is something that's absolutely needed. Even without the deficit, it is needed. You are a businesswoman. You own property here in the town of Fairhaven. Tell us about your experiences with the town of Fairhaven and what you would like to bring as a businesswoman to the planning board.
Well, certainly we're going back almost 11 years when we opened the first Tropical Smoothie in Fairhaven. And obviously being a new venture and starting my own business, I was, lost,
right.
And I think that when I went to the town hall, it was a lot of back and forth. There were no clean diagrams to say, okay, this is the step, you have to do this, and then once that happens, you do this. And
right.
So it was very back and forth. And, taking on such a big investment of just starting a business was scary.
Right.
But then to not really feel supported was also very discouraging.
Sure.
Certainly now I've seen things slowly revolving. It certainly has become an easier process.
Okay.
But I always think of, a little bit of the older generation where there's a lot of things that you have to upload on a computer. some of us don't have that technology background to
Correct.
do that. So I think, I know there has to be a process, obviously, and it has to be streamlined, but I think there needs to be more clean-cut guidelines of once this happens, this has to happen. It's, for example, like even though I'm on the Economic Development Committee meeting now and running for the Planning Board, I'm even at a stage now that, I have to go there today and go, okay, X, Y, and Z is done. What's the next process? So
Town hall, you mean?
yes,
Yeah.
I would like to see those processes streamlined a little bit better. Maybe have a guideline as to, hey, okay, you want to open a business here? Here's what you need to do. And once that's done, then you need I think we need to be a little bit more clean and concrete. And I think we need to, and again, I will give the town hall kudos. They are more welcoming now than 10 years ago.
Okay.
Things have definitely seen that they are improving. And
Progress.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that they finally are realizing, like, we don't want that anymore. I mean, I've talked to other business owners in other towns, and they're like, ooh, you're going to Fairhaven again. So,
Really?
Yeah, I think we can't continue to be like that. We have to be more welcoming.
We have Karyn Ferreira here in the studio. She's here, and she is running for the planning board. The election is Monday.
It is April Fool's Day.
I got elected on April Fool's Day.
There you go.
So there's a lot of commentary about that. But anyway, Karyn, you know that probably, unfortunately, time is money.
Yep.
So anytime the government, local government, which is what we're talking about, throws up a roadblock or makes things more difficult to understand, it costs the business owner investment capital.
Of course.
Talk about that.
Of course. So again, I think with streamlining some of these processes is a big thing, and you can't sit and wait. When you're ready to open an establishment, you've dumped a lot of money into that, and like you said, time is money. Yeah. So even for us right now, we're forecasting a 3 to 4 week opening, but as everyone knows, with the planning board now, with Henry, going to so now we're stuck in another position where we don't have another building commissioner right now.
Right.
So that, that's scary for people, even perhaps right now, that might have been starting a business right now.
Yes.
So again, I agree with you 100%. Time is money. And I think that's where the planning board and other departments in the town hall need to come together and figure out how can we streamline this process.
We're speaking with Karyn Ferreira. She's a candidate for the planning board. The election is April Fool's Day, probably the easiest way to remember it. So, Karyn, of course, many great things about Fairhaven, but it is our natural resources. And so the planning board is charged with obviously facilitating economic development, but also protecting existing status quo in some respects. What is your thoughts about the natural resources around Fairhaven and protecting the pristine quality of Fairhaven?
Well, I think that's the biggest thing. I know, again, and I will never sit up here and think I'm this politician and know everything. I certainly do not.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that I'm passionate about is learning a little bit more about this process.
Sure.
I won't go in there and think I know everything, because I certainly don't. I'll be the first to admit that. So I'm eager to learn about some of those issues. And then I think the biggest thing is, even for me, when they started talking about 40R and all these other things, I was kind of, that Fairhaven resident that was like, oh my God, I love this town. I don't want to see it change. I don't.
Right.
So I think that's the important thing to remember. And as I research a little bit more and learn from, and I have to say, there are many knowledgeable people on these committees.
Yes.
in the town of Fairhaven. So they've taught me a lot. And I think that's one of our biggest things. We want to reserve and keep the town beautiful, but at the same time, we need to explore and look at other options, because we can't stay like this. In order for our taxes and everything else that goes along with it, we have to start exploring different options. But yeah, at the same time, keeping Fairhaven to look as beautiful as it is today.
We have Karyn Ferreira here in the studio. She'll take your calls at 508-996-0500. I've heard a lot of things about you from people. I know you because you're an advertiser here at the radio station. You're involved in a lot of charitable stuff around the area. A lot of people are supporting your candidacy. I know that. They told me that privately off the air, that they're looking forward to having you on the planning board. Karyn, talk about some of the other things you've done. I know last night you were at a charity event, so talk about that.
Well, I was at the Friends of Jack. I'm on the advisory board for that. So
What does Friends of Jack do?
So basically, Friends of Jack is a great nonprofit organization. They support many, many children. You know, Jill Ferron is the head of it, and her son Jack became ill, and out of that experience, she turned it into a positive and created this nonprofit. I think what I'm passionate about, some of my background is childcare, so I've always been passionate about children. So it kind of got me into learning about that foundation a little bit more. And, you know, I feel that I'm truly honored to be on their advisory board.
Absolutely.
It's a great nonprofit organization. They do a lot for the community. I think people don't realize how much Jill and everyone on that board really does. But as I'm sure a lot of you seen, the Tutu Challenge and the Food for Tots that we
Michael
do.
Rock does a lot of that.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Michael is actually on the board as well.
I know, yeah.
He's a board member. I'm just on the advisory board. But, you know, I participate in that very much. Again, it's just a passion of mine. I've always had a passion for children. And I think especially in this day and age, there's so many people that don't realize, you know, there are a lot of sick children out there. Parents don't know where they can turn to. There's so much that goes into it. So, you know, it's I can't speak highly enough about that foundation. And as you know, I do at Christmas time, United Way.
Right.
Tropical Smoothie. Also, you know, we give back to that as well. I just try to support anything that I can. Sometimes people will say to me, you give away more money than you make. But again, right. I love getting involved in the community. When we used to have the National Night Out for the Police Association
right.
before COVID, we supported that. The after school prom, we give the kids smoothies for after school prom. We do fundraisers. I just dropped off smoothies yesterday at the high school for the seniors. So I'm very passionate about just giving back. I think in no way that I've been, you know, I say blessed, but I work my tail off.
Sure, of course.
You know, so certainly I am blessed, but I'm fortunate enough that I still have that kind of fire in my belly.
Of course.
To keep hustling, and I like to do things for people. It's just a thing for me. I love seeing people happy or doing something different for them that they never thought was possible.
We have Karyn Ferreira. She's a candidate for the planning board here in Fairhaven. You've lived in Fairhaven for
30 years.
30 years. 30 years. Karyn, how have you found, because, you know, politics, even particularly local politics, can be kind of brutal. How have you found the campaign so far?
I honestly can not even tell you how proud I am of everyone on this. It's, you know, again, behind closed doors, I don't know what people are saying, nor do I probably want to.
No, I only hear good things, really.
But I commend to Richard. I mean, Richard and I are running against each other, and I have the utmost respect for him and his wife. I've known his wife, you know, from the boutique for quite some time. And it was kind of a funny story, but I was out with my dad for dinner, and I seen Margaret and Richard, and he came over and we chit-chatted, and he said, hey, you know, I'm running for planning board. I appreciate your vote. And I just kind of chuckled, and I said, so am I. And at that time, we just shook hands and said, you know what? May the best person win.
Right.
We're not going to hold this at any means, you know, as, you know, you won and I didn't win.
Right.
By any means. I am here to support. I think this political campaign, you know, people have to do it because they're passionate about it.
Right.
You're certainly not getting any funding for it. You're not doing it because it's going to be this great old time.
Right.
It's going to consume much of
a
your
lot
personal
of your time.
Absolutely.
Right.
So I commend everyone. I don't see what goes on behind closed doors, but I think everyone running has been very, very cordial to each other, and I'm proud of the town for that.
No, I agree with you. I thought the other night, the candidates' night, that the couple I've watched have been really, everyone's been great to each other.
Yeah,
I agree.
Very supportive. I mean, I sat with Richard and his wife at Travelers when we had the campaign day.
Right.
I mean, you know, I think personally for me, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Whoever the town decides.
Right.
I'm fine with that. We should support each other, and I think that's going to evolve into making Fairhaven a better town.
Totally agree with you. I mean, when you look at the opening of the 2 seats, 5 people running for the select board, all of them unique, all of them qualified, all of them bringing their own talents to the board. I've had them all through here. We won't end up getting them all through again because I don't have the time, and I don't think I could do it in a way to make it fair, because inevitably one or two of them wouldn't be able to do it with their schedule. So anyway, but we really have a bounty of riches in the town in terms of people running this year. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think they come with a lot of experience. I mean, I'll be quite honest, I'm probably the one with the least experience, to be quite honest. But again, it's something that I feel from my past experiences, not only with business, but personally, I've had some issues happen. And I don't like how certain things were handled. And I don't want to be, I've always been kind of that person. There are some things that are certainly out of your control.
Yes.
But I'd rather try to get involved and see what I can do to help fix the situation rather than just sit back and complain.
Right.
I feel like a lot of times people sit back and complain and don't want to really get involved to do anything about it.
We've made an industry out of it.
Yeah.
It's called talk radio.
Yeah.
So I try to take it from there to here, which is bringing in people who have an engine, which is how I would describe you. Someone who, I don't know how many hours a day you sleep, but probably not a lot. And you have a motor. You have a business. You're involved in charity. Mm-hmm. Now you're involved in public policy. Well, you've been involved in public policy because you're on the Economic Development Committee. So we try to turn a complaint factory into a production factory, right? Which is what we're trying to do here locally with talk radio. Karyn, we're going to take a quick break. Where are your tropical smoothies located?
So currently we have 606 Tarkin Hill Road, which is, a lot of people call it Kings Highway, which is right across from Burger King where they're doing the railroad. So that's been interesting. That's been quite the hard process.
Oh, I know.
For sure. And then we also, we originally had the 29 Alden Road, which everyone pretty much knows now is gone.
Right.
So we relocated to 15 Sarah's Way, which is right next door to CVS, the old C&G Tile.
Yep.
So we hope that will be open in 3 to 4 weeks. And Karyn still has fire in her belly, so we don't know what will happen next year. We have some things on the horizon. Who knows? I
like that. But everybody likes tropical smoothie.
I mean, it's a great concept. The food and the smoothies, speak for themselves. And, that's what kind of got me into it, more of the healthier lifestyle. And, we all know healthy is certainly not going away. That's for sure.
Right. Healthy is better.
Yes.
Healthy is better. Folks, stick around. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back to the program. I'm Chris McCarthy, and we have Karyn Ferreira, and she's waiting for you to vote for her on April 1st in the election for the town planner here in Fairhaven. Regardless of who you're voting for, everyone's got to get out to vote, right, Karyn?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing is, again, it goes back to we like to sit and complain, but if you're not out there voting to who you think is the best candidate for the positions, then we have no one to blame but ourselves.
Fairhaven needs to grow its way out of this problem we're in, the deficit. We can't cut our way out of it. We need police, we need fire, we need EMS. I've used all of those. And if you haven't yet, just wait, you will. And so we need them, and we need to keep them trained and well paid. So the only way we're going to get out of this is to grow our way out.
Yeah.
And is that your philosophy when you get on the planning board?
Yes, I certainly think, again, going back to keeping this town as beautiful as it is, it's very important to everyone that lives in this community, and I certainly respect that because I feel the same. But I encourage people to learn a little bit more about what these AUDs are and the 40Rs. And again, get involved. Go to these meetings. These meetings welcome anyone to come.
Yes.
So give your opinions, certainly get more involved. But again, I think if we do this in the best way possible to get this community to grow, to keep, our police, like you said, and our fire and our EMS, those are very big elements that people don't want to see cut, as well as myself. So we have to figure out other ways to grow this community, but keep it looking like Fairhaven. So that's really a very, very, I think one of the most important things, because as everyone knows, it happens in every town. It happens in every city.
Right.
We cut the biggest ones.
Yes.
And those are the ones we need the most.
Right.
So again, I encourage people, go out and vote. Go to your meetings, get more involved. If you want to see change, then you have to get involved.
Karyn Ferreira is here. I was taking your calls at 508-996-0500. Folks, we tried to get everybody through for a half hour. We had Rick Trapillo in earlier. We've had all the candidates for the select board through. We've done it in Dartmouth as well. It's in Westport as well. So we're waiting on one candidate to give us an option to coming back. But Westport elections are not till April 9th. Dartmouth is April 2nd. But here in Fairhaven, I'll be voting April 1st. I hope you'll join me in voting April 1st. The deadline to register is over. So if you're not registered yet, you'll miss. But you can already register for the next election if Karyn's lucky, she'll be running for re-election. So before we let you go, Karyn, one final pitch to the voters.
Well, certainly I can, I'm grateful and I'm humbled to be in this position to, want to get involved and try to help this community as much as possible. I'm certainly humbled.
Yeah.
And I would appreciate your consideration for the vote. And I support, again, anyone that comes out of this. Again, I have the utmost respect. This is, again, my first time kind of getting my feet wet with this.
Right.
And everyone around me has made this a very nice process. So I respect every candidate.
Right.
And again, whoever gets in, I'm humbled for the experience. And I will be glad to help them in any way that I can.
Karyn, I think that's a wonderful message to the voters. Folks, we are going to let Karyn go again. We're keeping everybody to a half hour just in the interest of I could keep this going for a lot longer, but we have about a half hour for every candidate. That seems to be about fair and about the best we can really offer people. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'll have open phones at 508-996-0500. We're going to talk about other things that are going on. And then at 11 o'clock, we will have Will Sennett, who's written a really informative article on the importation of Japanese scallops into the greater New Bedford area, right, to compete with our homegrown, however you want to look at it, scallops. And so it does have a financial impact on the entire region. So stick around. That'll be Will Sennett at 11 o'clock. He's done a lot of great reporting for the fine journal that is the New Bedford Light. Folks, I'm Chris McCarthy. We'll be right back.
Step right up and don't be shy, because you will not believe your eyes. She's right here behind the glass, and you're gonna like her, 'cause she's got class. You can look inside another world. You get to talk to a pretty girl. She's everything you dream about.
Welcome back to the program. I want to thank Karyn Ferreira, who's a candidate for the planning board, for coming in and spending a half hour with us and taking any questions that may have come from the audience. Again, we had Rick Trapillo in earlier. We're trying to give every local candidate who's interested a half hour here on the program. It really, look, I really appreciate local government. I was a member of it as a Board of Selectmen member in Freetown. And the people, Karyn was right, the people who put themselves up deserve to be given a lot of credit. It takes a lot to step up and say, I'm worthy and I want to be examined by my friends and neighbors as to my worthiness to be on the, whatever it is, decision-making government board. But that's the republic, right? It's how we work. One of us governs us, or a few of us govern us. It's with the consent of the governed. So, anyway, I want to thank Karyn again for coming in. So, folks, if you're tired of looking at that crack in your windshield, I don't blame you. When it starts to get hotter out, or colder, if it gets cold, especially this time of year, with the really radically fluctuating temperatures, that crack in the windshield could turn into a gone windshield, right? You get a little pebble to hit your windshield, it could explode. Could happen on 24 or Route 140, 195. So you've got to get it fixed. Now, I know you don't have time to do that. So you should reach out to Citywide Glass. They will come to you at work, at home, whatever, to fix your windshield, your side windows, your truck sliders, your mirrors. Citywide Glass. They have 2 different locations. You don't have to go to either one of them. They'll come to you. They're in Dartmouth and in Fairhaven. Just give them a call or go right to citywideglass.net. Citywideglass.net. Book a windshield repair, side mirrors, truck sliders, whatever it is that you need that's glass related. Reach out to my friends at Citywide Glass. They're in Dartmouth and in Fall River, but best of all, they'll come right to your home or office. So you have no excuse, and all insurances are accepted, which means it should cost you almost nothing, okay? It's not going to cost you anything, not even going to cost you your time or the inconvenience. So reach out to Citywide Glass today. Take care of that problem before it's a much bigger problem. Anyway, folks, we were talking at the end of the last hour about campaign promises that people make, and then we have to hold them accountable. They could be a really good guy, could even be a friend of mine, but doesn't matter. You make a promise, you need to keep a promise. Make a promise, keep a promise. And we've heard repeatedly from, and I want to be careful here, Leo Choquette, that Mr. Choquette was going to open an office. Now, his own office, not a taxpayer-funded office. He was going to pay for it either through his campaign or through his own pocket. I don't know. But it wasn't going to be the government, okay? It was going to be his expense in a convenient location for Ward 1. Now, here we are, months later. He said it in September. He said it in October. He said it in November of last year. Then he came on the program. He's been on this program twice since the election. And he said it there. So I take it, he said it to me, looked me in the eye, and to you, my audience. So he's not here today. I am your surrogate. If you can't call, many of you, for whatever reason, don't call the program, and that's okay. I know you're out there, though. We know from the ratings. You can call at 508-996-0500. But months have gone by now, and we're yet to see an office for you, Ward 1 constituents of Leo Choquette. So Mr. Choquette made a promise, reiterated the promise all over the campaign trail, told you when he knocked on your door, and then you folks voted for him, and I don't blame you. That was a big offer, right? It was a really how he contrasted himself with his opponent, Brad Markey. But to date, he's not lived up to that campaign promise. He reiterated it. He was given a Hail Mary, or rather a life raft, by a very generous Acushnet businessman, Chris Medeiros, a friend of mine. Chris let him use South Coast Towing's boardroom. And Leo used that for a number of months, including the coffee that Chris was paying for and all that stuff for his constituents. And that was, again, very generous of Chris. And doesn't surprise me at all, because Chris and Sandy, his sister, who's his office manager, are very civic-minded, generous people. But at some point, So I don't know where Leo's doing his office hours now, or if he's even doing it. But we know that he doesn't have an office. Otherwise, he would have told us. And I was up the North End looking around. Had a friend of mine drive me around, and I do have a lot of people up there that keep me informed of what's going on. There's no office space. What there is a grotesquely abandoned former small business, Pine Grove Pharmacy. That thing jumped out at me, right? How do you go down Ashley Boulevard? You have all kinds of vibrant businesses. You have a fire station right there, police station right there. And then you have this South Bronx-like abandoned building. Really, Ward 1's starting to look like the South Bronx in many respects. And I feel bad for you people up there who pay some of the highest taxes. You've got abandoned buildings. Look at that old Pine Grove Pharmacy. I remember that from a kid going there to pick up my prescription, be coming home from Dr. Downey in New Bedford, from that great Downey family. Because sometimes we'd stop at Pine Grove Pharmacy and I'd beg my mother to go across the street to Friendly's on the way back to Freetown, where there was nothing but pine trees. An occasional oak, but mostly pines. And that was my last look at really civilization. We'd be getting our prescriptions at Pine Grove Pharmacy. Now, today, Pine Grove Pharmacy is gone. There was a Chinese restaurant. Now it looks like a building in the South Bronx. You have all those lovely houses on Pine Grove Street, in that neighborhood, Ohio Street, Illinois Street. That neighborhood, thank God for the people that do pay their taxes, that do keep their properties up. I don't know what the city's going to do about that abandoned building. I mean, it is so grotesque. It's like, might as well have, if it had electricity, it would have a flashing signs, please convert me to a shooting gallery, right? You can imagine other night crawlers who live in other parts of the city of New Bedford taking over that vacant building, using it to sell drugs or shoot drugs. Nothing good. That is, you know the broken windows theory, right? The broken windows theory is what the Republicans use to clean up New York. Maybe that's what you need up there, some Republicans. You got to elect them, though, right? Republicans. It's called the broken window theory. It is when you don't repair a window, other windows get broken. When you allow a building to be abandoned, have the windows all broken up and boarded over, like you have at the former Pine Grove Pharmacy in the heart of Ward 1, right off Tarleton Hill Road, on Ashley Boulevard, right down the street from the vocational high school. You have children walking by that abandoned building. You know, we hear on the news all the time about people being dragged into abandoned building and sodomized or molested, all kinds of awful things happening to them. Children, women and children. So for there to be, the other night when I saw that abandoned, again, I don't have reason to be up that far north often in the city of New Bedford, but I was up there on St. Patrick's Day. I was with a pair of Barrys and a Stephanie, and we were driving up that way in the North End, and I said, my Lord, is that Pine Grove Pharmacy? Is that the old Pine Grove Pharmacy? They became a Chinese restaurant. There was a vibrant business. Now it's an abandoned building. It's crazy. Folks, stick around. We'll be right back.
Made me promises. Knew you'd never keep. Promises. Why do I believe?
That's true. Why do we believe? Promises. Well, because we believe in America, but some people do betray that trust, really. Anyway, we got people on hold. Good morning. Thank you for holding. You're on the air.
Hey, what's going on, Chris?
You tell me.
Yeah, promises. Leo Choquette.
Promises.
Unbelievable. Anyway, yeah. So, you know what I really actually called for?
What's that?
And so the summer's coming up, right?
Yes.
It's going to get hot out there. And Tropical Smoothie, they have a great drink, Mocha Madness drink. You could put a banana in it.
You can.
But in the summer, you know what I heard? In the summer, when it's really hot, you can freeze a whole banana. So you can have a frozen banana if you really want.
A frozen banana. Hank Georgia might like that.
Yeah, frozen banana in your Mocha Madness. Whole frozen bananas are fantastic in the summer. Nice, cold, refreshing dessert.
I appreciate that. It is. You know what? You know why? Because here's the thing. It's one of the weird things of kidney disease. I can't eat bananas. It's a weird thing. Yeah, you'd think that
it's like it's
potassium. Yeah,
potassium and all that. Yeah.
So, it's really like a thing that I can't really eat a lot of anymore.
Right.
Or it would kill me.
So you know what? So Hank, he can have 2 frozen bananas, one for you and one for himself. So hey, anyway, on a serious note, talking about Leo. One thing that he did bring up was the privatization of different things.
Yes.
As an idea.
Right.
And I was thinking, I think one of the most important things that we could do as a city is privatize the zoo.
Yes.
Who made it like some sort of a great idea that the government should be babysitting animals? You know what we should do? You know what? We have, fire, basic infrastructure. We can build infrastructure. Even the airport. The airport's a perfect example. That's infrastructure. So we can even allow the city to run an airport.
Right.
But why are we being pet sitters? Why did we say, you know what we need? We need to...
A zebra.
We're doing such a phenomenal job running this city. There's almost zero crime. There's...
We've tackled all the problems that matter. Let's get some animals.
That's it.
Right.
We're going to actually stop babysitting animals. It makes no sense.
Rare animals.
The zoo first before we...
We'll